Okay. We're as ready as we're going to be. I kind of had a premonition about this last week, didn't I? I talked about the possibility that the Jets would be 1-2 and things would get ugly. So, once again, I've got to do this. And I know there are some new viewers out there. We get them all the time. If you want to know what I felt at the time, last year, during the crisis of the Jets in midseason, during the benching of Zach Wilson, during the Mike White fiasco, which is what I call it, then check out the library of shows that I did last year. So you know exactly where I stand, and I've not changed at all. And so there are going to be a lot of viewers out there who are sick and tired of hearing me come on and talk about this. It's like, give it up. You're wrong. Move on. Well, I'm not going to give it up because as of right now, I'm not wrong. Maybe I will be. Maybe I will be. But I have said this from day one, and I'm going to continue to say it. And I just seem like I'm the only one here. And I know there's probably some fans out there, and I know that maybe there's an analyst or two out there, maybe, even though I can't find them, but maybe they're out there who actually feel like I do. Maybe. I have said this for years. I've been doing this for over 25 years. I'm not somebody that just popped on a channel on YouTube for the past year or two and decided to take this up as a hobby. I've been a professional broadcaster for over 25 years. I've been following and covering the Jets for nearly about that much. Probably about 20 years or so. Been at tons of Jet games covering the Jets, interviewing players and coaches in their locker room. I go back a long ways. I have been doing this a long time. And one of the things that I have always talked about, the reason I do this, one of the main reasons I do it, it's not the main, but it is one of the main, is because I know that there are a lot of fans out there that have a regular, whatever job it is. I don't care how much you're making. You could have a great salary, a tough salary, whatever the case may be. But you have a specific, you're in a specific industry that is not football. Okay? Football is your pleasure. It's supposed to be. Football and sports, that's what I work all week. I want to watch football. I want to be entertained. You know, this is my team, blah, 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 okay? My job is covering sports. And a lot of those hours covering the Jets. Because I've been doing this, covering this team, as I said, for over 20 years. I've been a fan since I don't know, that I can recall that I really kind of understood what was going on. I don't know what, 8, 10 years old, maybe? Okay? So that's my job. My job is to give you information that you can't possibly get or have. Because the time you're spending at work, I'm spending covering this team, covering sports, and doing it the way that I can only do it the best I can possibly do. And that's why hopefully people here, and I have loyal viewers who, they're loyal, but they don't agree with me half the time. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure they agree with me more than half the time. Probably less than half. But they still are loyal, will watch, and listen. Because I guess they feel, you could be right once in a while. Why did I say all that? Because I had to. I had to put that first. Because we are, again, I feel like I should be wearing some sort of a professor's hat or something. It's time to go back to school again, Jet fans. So let's start. You know what? Let's start with the game. Let's start where it all kind of started between last week and this week, and that's the game. All right? So if you would tell me that Zach Wilson would not turn over the ball against the Patriots, I would have told you, you know what? I think we probably won that football game against the Patriots. He did not turn it over against Belichick, the nemesis coach, the Hall of Famer, the coach that many people believe is the greatest coach of all time, who has Zach's number, and Zach didn't turn the ball over. Oh, I guess we won the game, right? No, we didn't. We did not win the game. Why didn't we win the game? Well, it's all Zach's fault. Of course. Right after the game, the press conference, what did you expect? Zach. And yet the guy didn't turn the ball over. Zach. Okay? So, what did go on in the game besides Zach not turning the ball over? Well, I'll tell you what. They didn't run the football at all. The running game, non-existent, giving Zach no help. Well, that's because they're making sure that they have 8-9 guys in the box and they're forcing the Jets to throw the football. Okay, fine. I'm all right with that. Whose fault is that then? It's the coach. It's the coordinator's fault. Why won't he open up the playbook? We talked about it last week. There's another team that I follow and do a post-game show of every week called Rutgers. Do it on the Rutgers football channel. Kind of talked about that with Rutgers and Gavin Wimsatt and, they got to keep it vanilla and they're just the passing game is not up to snuff. And so what did they do, though, against Michigan? First series, pass, touchdown, 65 yards, 7-0 Rutgers. We talked about the possibility of let's do something different. Come on. Do something different, Hackett. I don't know what it was, but do something different. Did you see anything different from the Dallas game to the Buffalo game to the Patriot game? Anything different? Meaning, Bill Belichick is looking at the film for the 2 games coming up, leading up to the Patriot game, and he's going, okay, well, if they do this, well, we got to do this. And what do? We do that. We don't do anything different. We just do that. Hey, Coach Belichick, genius, legend. We're just going to run the same offense that we've run here for the past couple of games, and I guess you're just going to have to stop us. Great strategy, man. Great coaching. Awesome. And Coach Saleh said at the press conference something that I remember, and I think you guys remember it too if you were paying attention. And I know a lot of this sometimes is coach speak, but he was right on. Because what did he say? We, as coaches, have got to be better. And there is no doubt about that. The coaching right now on that side has not picked up. Nothing. From the beginning of the season, since Zach has taken over, there has been nothing going on in that offense that has shown us that we have some sort of a high-grade coordinator. Do we have somebody that, hey, you know what? That guy's pretty good. Nothing. Why do you think it's so hard for NFL owners to hire defensive coaches? This is why. Because no matter what you think about Saleh as a head coach or a defensive genius, the fact is he has to give way to offensive coaches. So it's basically out of his hands. That's not why we hired Saleh. We didn't hire Saleh for the offense. We hired him for his defense and his ability to be a leader among men. What he hasn't been able to do, or he didn't do right, and we went over this, and I'm not going to keep going over it, and the whole nepotism thing with his former coordinator. All right, got rid of that. We talked about the failure of not replacing Greg Knapp. Nobody wants to bring that up anymore, except me. So he makes the move for Hackett. All right, good, great. At least this guy's got experience. At least this guy's had some success. He's had more failure than success, but he's had some success, especially with Aaron Rodgers. Nobody is going to convince me now that they hired Hackett and they were willing to go with any quarterback. It was, hey, you know what? Hackett's our coordinator, and if we get Derek Carr or hey, if we land with Aaron Rodgers, then hey, that's even better. But that's not what we got him. Malarkey. There is no doubt they hired him it would have been like, well, you know what? Worst case scenario, we end up with so-and-so, and Hackett has a pretty decent history compared to the last guy. But he was hired to help lure Aaron Rodgers in. And if they get Aaron Rodgers, wow, we got something going now. Rodgers loves him. So they get Hackett, bring in Rodgers. The entire offseason spent building this offense behind Aaron Rodgers. They go up to get Cobb, who probably would have retired. Matter of fact, I think he would have. I think that's what we heard on Hard Knocks. That's what I heard. He was going to retire. But Aaron Rodgers, okay, let's do this. So you bring in, and by the way, Salah had to remind me, not just Hackett, but what? A handful of new coaches on the offensive side. All those guys are new. So you bring in a handful of new coaches on offense. You're running a relatively new scheme. You've got new this, new that. You've got Aaron Rodgers coming in, and you're putting all of your strategy and your Cobb's coming in, and Lazard is being signed, and Hackett's coming in, and we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. We're bringing in Turner and all this for Aaron Rodgers. The chips are all in on Aaron Rodgers. And then what happens? 4 plays out. So then, miraculously, we win the first game. Miraculously. And I don't know, but do you recall in that game being down 2 scores? I do. And do you recall the Jets scoring 10 points to tie it? Took the lead, by the way, late in the game. Touchdown drive, by the way, by Zach Wilson as the quarterback. Touchdown pass, miraculous catch. But by the way, Zach was the one who called it. They preferred run. Zach went pass. Don't get credit for that. Win the game in overtime. Special teams kick. Game over. Celebration. We all come back down to life. And it happened pretty quick, didn't it? But I don't recall anybody saying anything about Zach Wilson the week leading up to the Dallas game. Nothing. Hey, let's give him a chance. Hey, this could be different. Hey, he's learning from Aaron Rodgers, new coordinator, let's give him a chance. And early in the Dallas game, all the way through till, mid-third quarter. Actually, till, as I said last week, first series of the second half. It was still a game. And again, if Zach doesn't get the ball tipped, if there's better offensive line protection for him, in other words, if they help him, if the players around him help him, that's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. And they're right there. We have got ourselves a ball game, ladies and gentlemen, against the Dallas Cowboys. Didn't happen. Field goal. Nothing happened second half. Defense was not good. Everybody knows that. Third down, first down. Third down, first down. Third down, first. It went on and on and on. That's not Zach's fault. Third down, first down. It went on and on. Sauce. Pick 6 right in his hands. Boink. Brick hands. Drop. No plays on defense. Okay? And what does Zach do? I got to try to throw the ball. I got no recourse. I'm going to start forcing it. He gets picks. And now all of a sudden everybody's like, yeah, I don't know about Zach. Yeah, he's got to be better. Zach, kind of Zach. Why aren't we talking about the defense? But in a way, the fans still kind of gave him another pass. It was still, it's the Cowboys. We're 1-1. We got the Patriots. Okay. What did I say last week? They haven't beaten his team forever. Over 7 years, something like that. Zach wasn't starting all those games. The possibility existed. It was there. It was real that they would lose the football game. They were the dog. They weren't supposed to win. They were a home dog. Vegas said, no, you're not supposed to win. They're the better team. They're going to win. What happens? It really was about to be a 3-point game. Like the Patriots were a 3-point favorite. So Vegas was right. They're about a 3-point favorite. They're going to win by 3. They pretty much almost won by 3. Oh, I guess Zach must have threw 4 interceptions. He didn't turn the ball over. And yet, from 1 week, 8 days, it went from pretty much silence on Zach to Armageddon. Absolute Armageddon. Unleash the hounds. Let him go. Go get him. Tear him apart. I'm sick of this. I can't stand it anymore. And it's all on Zach. It's his fault. Because we saw that in the press conference. Zach. All the questions. Zach. Did you watch the same game I did? Did you see some tight end who it kind of reminded me of the Detroit game last year? It's like, what is this with giving up 50, 60-yard touchdowns to third-string tight ends? I don't understand. And look, I don't want to hear this either, because we've talked about this. Good defense, not great. Once again, good defense, not great. You know why? Great defenses don't give up 65-yard touchdowns to third-string tight ends and leave them wide open. So I don't want to hear, well, they gave up 13 points, so they should have won. Sure, I'm going to sit there and that's the least thing I'm going to argue with you about. But don't be telling me in the context of the game, in a game that at a team and a rival and you need to win and you're this like defense and you're going to be the difference maker and you're going up against a young quarterback that hasn't done anything. Nobody thinks Matt Jones is going to turn into anything. I'm not talking about me. That's most people. Oh, he's Matt Jones. Come on, Mac Jones. Come on, really? And you allow Mac Jones to not only throw that touchdown pass to a wide open receiver, but how many times also did you see him make a critical pass to get first down and to let the chains move a little bit? Because while the Jets weren't getting anything on third down, and by the way, why do you think that was? Because you're putting Zach in a position, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10. How in the world are you supposed, as a young quarterback going up against that genius, how are you supposed to be able to pick up first downs on a consistent basis when you have absolutely no running game? And no creativity by the offensive coordinator. Zero. Nothing. What on earth is Randall Cobb doing out there? What is happening? And you want to talk about the thing that is driving me crazy the most. And this is what gets coaches fired. Not saying I've given up on Salah. I'm just telling you that there are certain things that he still has not learned. And this is one of them. What's the most important thing about winning football games? And it's doing anything and everything to win. There's no favoritisms, especially to veterans, and especially to veterans who are old. This is a young man's sport. And not even the old thing, but just in general. Okay? I heard somebody say something about, I don't know, in the last few months, well, the Jets have some, they got some targets. They've got CJ Uzuma. Are you kidding me? How would you put that guy in the same sentence as some sort of Jets have some playmakers or targets or something? CJ Uzuma? CJ Uzuma is a great teammate. He is a very nice tight end, but he is not a weapon on offense. Nothing even close to it. Conklin is the best thing or the closest thing they have to a weapon as a veteran. But here's the problem. But here are a few guys that we're going to talk about. Here's one of them right here. Jeremy Ruckert. Here's another one. Xavier Gibson. And another one. Jason Brownlee. And another one. McCole Hardman. Back up, and back up. Now, what do all these backups have that this guy doesn't have? Matter of fact, this guy doesn't even have it. And this guy certainly doesn't have it anymore. What do they have It's pretty simple. Youth and athleticism that the other guys don't have. What are we waiting for with Jeremy Ruckert to be getting playing time right now? The coaching staff has talked highly about his blocking ability. We all know he's a good blocker and all-around player. What are they waiting for? Injury? 3 years from now when their contracts are up and then, okay, now it's time for Ruckert? What? Get that kid some playing time. Hardman, we talked about this last week. And you figured, well, they've got to put him in. Remember we were talking about that? Well, they'll probably put him in for a play and just to appease everybody. Did he even play? Where is he? This is going now on 2 games after the Bills game and after you knew Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to be available. Still no Hardman. Still you can't figure out a way to use Gibson in some, I don't know what way. And you have Ruckert at tight end as well. And you're not using any of them because you're using Randall Cobb. And I'll tell you right now, even Lazard, even Alan Lazard, nice player, would be a much better and key player with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. But the whole idea of being a coordinator and a coach is you've got to be creative enough to understand, okay, I practiced and we coached and we planned for months about Aaron Rodgers running this team and this is how we're doing it. But apparently I need another month on my own to try to figure out with my other assistant coaches. We got to all figure out how to use these players to best suit Zach Wilson. Why is this taking so long? Why? 2 reasons. 1, because he knows that the coaching has to be better, like he has said. And they have got to find a way to make this Zach's team. And 2, because of what he's been saying, is that Zach is a different person. You don't see it. He knows it. You're not supposed to know it. Oh yeah, but we don't see it. Nobody sees it. Why are you the only one that sees it? Because you're not around the guy. How you think you know the guy because we turn on a TV set for 3 hours every Sunday and you know the guy? That's what you know. As a fan or someone that part of the media, you know Zach better than those coaches. Every time Zach steps in that facility, and every time he's at practice and so forth, the countless hours he's there with the coaches and the players, especially the head coach. Those are all hours and days, tons of them that you don't know. You are not privy to. You don't know. They know. Now, the question, though, is, do you trust them to know? Because that's different. Okay? There's been a lot of times where I'm like, you know what? I don't care that they probably know more. They've been around them more, so they should know. But if that's what they're doing, then I don't trust that guy. Never have. Should be fired. And you know what? If the coach can't get it and the GM can't get it either, GM, he should go too. And this is why I have said this repeatedly. You either believe in Joe Douglas or you don't. Pretty simple. You're either in or you're out. Because to me, if you're not in, everything else should be out. Meaning, you're unsure. I'm just unsure. To me, that's out. That means, you have there's a line there. You're out. I'm in. Now, you haven't walked away and turned your back on Joe Douglas or Saleh. You're just on the other. You're on the other side. You just. I'm not sure. I don't believe in these guys. I have always been behind Joe Douglas, and I will. And I've said this too. I haven't said this in a while, so I'll repeat this. If Joe Douglas fails as general manager of the New York Jets, meaning he fails to take this team to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. If he fails to do that, I resign all of my Jet analyst privileges for life. Period. I have staked my reputation as a Jet fan, as a Jet analyst, that Joe Douglas, and I've said this from day one, and obviously have felt more and more confident in my feeling about his being our savior, as we can probably say, because we can kind of use one around these parts. I'm all in, 100% all in. And most fans have been, especially after the way that he went out and had a tremendous draft 2 years ago. He went out this past offseason and brought in Aaron Rodgers. But there are fans that even if they kind of believe in Joe, now they're not sure about Saleh. And so this is where I come back to. Because if you don't believe in Saleh, or you kind of yes and you kind of don't, well, that's the problem right there. That's pretty much it. Okay? And I'm not going to stick up for Saleh in some of these situations because I think he could do a lot better job handling the press conferences. Okay? If there's one thing that I would really want Coach Saleh to do is to get a little ornery with the media. Okay? He's a little bit too nice with the media. Because if he truly believes, and I believe he does, all the things he's saying about Zach, if he really does believe it, I'm sorry, but I think he needs to defend him a little bit differently than how he's defending him. And I think that's part of the problem, is that because of the way that he's defending him, he's just allowing the media to still, come on, Zach this, Zach that, Zach. He could put an end to a lot of those Zach questions if he came at the media differently than he does in defending Zach. I just think he does a pretty bad job of doing it. I really do. Now, one of the things that I thought he did a real good job, I wasn't planning on doing this here, but let's do it. And I really liked, this is, to me, one of the better Saleh one-on-ones that I have seen. And I had no idea. Look, I've heard of Don LaGreca before. Yes, I've seen his work before, but not like this. I'm not in New York. This is not something I pay attention to. I'm not a Yankee fan or I'm just a Jet fan. That's it. There's nothing else in New York that these guys cover. So let's take a look, and especially at this particular part of the interview, because this is going to be Don LaGreca not understanding, trying to figure out the locker room. You know, you're losing the locker room, and you're going to lose the locker room like you did last year. And this is also something that I have repeatedly talked about, the whole Mike White situation. Remember I told you about the situation last year, the whole thing about the player. I even brought it back up last week, I believe, is that the players were wearing Mike White shirts and things of that nature, but they didn't know any better, that they were making a story out of Zach, that the media was going to run with that, and then the fans were going to run with that, as if the players were abandoning Zach for Mike White. I told you that wasn't the case. I told you they just didn't know any better, and it was all just about, hey, we got to ride Mike White. So let's find out what happened in this interview. I think this was yesterday. Don LaGreca, Coach Saleh, with Saleh on the question regarding the locker room, Mike White, and is this something that could happen again this season? Let's go.
Or just any adversity back and forth. Like, just, it felt like they bailed on Zach to support Mike White. It from afar, it just seemed like the room kind of got ugly against Zach. How do you stop that from happening to the offense or to happen to Zach again?
No, again, another fair question, Don. I don't think.
I have to throw this in here. I just do. The whole fair question thing, that coach, I mean, that is just, And please stop that. I know he's not, but please stop it. He says it about 5 times a press conference. Fair question, fair question, fair question. Well, if there's so many fair questions, then that means that there are questions that aren't fair. Then why don't you make a point of that? Why don't you make a point of that?
That's the thing, is like whatever the perception, the narrative outside the building isn't always necessarily the reality.
Oh.
You know, yes, did they wear shirts of another quarterback? Well, the quarterback was starting. They're trying to get him excited so he can go produce. It wasn't necessarily, okay, screw Zach. It's just like, all right, you're our guy, let's roll. And, so it wasn't a reflection on Zach as much as it was, hey, let's get Mike White all excited to go play with confidence so we can move the ball.
There you go. What did I say? That's what I said. I was also right, by the way, when we talked last year about, well, you think they're going to bring Mike White back next year and we can have Mike White will be the starter and we'll get rid of Zach. And remember all that? There's a lot of Jet fans thinking that Mike White could be the answer next year. And then they kick Zach White to the curb and trade him and cut him and get rid of him. What did I tell you? That Mike White was never going to be part of this organization long term. Never. And they were never choosing Mike White over Zach Wilson. I told you that repeatedly during the worst period of Zach Wilson's career at that point. And the highlight of Mike White's. And I was the one who told you, simmer down. None of that stuff's happening. Zach is still their guy. And he still is. And here we are talking about it again. And the only thing that the media and all these fans, if you want to call some of these guys like Mike Greenberg, oh, has Mike Greenberg given up again? Have you given up again, Greenberg? Of course you have. The reason that you have given up again, Greenberg, is because you're a front runner. That's all you are. That's all you care about. If the Jets are winning, oh, I'm going to talk about them and I'm just big. But of course, what I do most and what I really cherish doing more than anything is slamming my team. I have the pulpit to X amount of viewers and listeners, and I'm going to use that as a Jets fan to rip them apart every chance I get. Oh, Aaron Rodgers is coming though. Oh, goody, Aaron Rodgers is coming. Now I'm going to talk positive about my team because Aaron Rodgers is coming. Oh, Aaron Rodgers is out. Oh, you guys suck again. What a fan. Great fan. And how about Joe Namath? He's a fan. Yes, we know Joe Namath is a fan. But since when did we ever give 2 cents about what Joe Namath has to say about the organization or quarterbacks? When have we done that? I mean, I have been a staunch Joe Klecko to the Hall of Fame for so long and thought that the Hall of Fame was a joke until they brought him in there. Joke, I just, all the way. But I don't want to hear what Joe Klecko has to say about this year's Jet team or last year's Jet team or Sauce Gardner or I don't care. Keep your mouth. Talk about when your playing days. Talk about the time in your career that made you a Hall of Famer. That's all I care about. That's all I care about. Same thing with Joe Namath. All I care about. I don't care what Joe Namath has to say about Ched Pennington, Boomer Esiason. He's another one, by the way. I don't care about any of their opinions. Doesn't mean anything. They're not analysts. They're just fans. That's all they are. What do you think? Because Joe Namath is going to give up on Zach Wilson but that's it. Joe's giving up on Zach. Now we're off and running. See ya. Goodbye, Zach. Gotta go. Joe's giving up on you. Ridiculous. Predictable for the Mike Greenbergs and all the others out there. Countless different, and I didn't even read or listen to them because I just knew what I was going to get into, and there's no reason to go through that again. But just the countless, can't watch Zach anymore. Zach. It's not all about Zach. And you know, where is the, well, look, they trashed Zach last year, so they obviously, you know, there's going to be a snowball effect, and the media is already coming out with that snowball effect, and you're going to lose the locker room, and so forth and so on. Well, where is that? Where's the lost locker room? I thought they didn't like Zach. I thought they gave up on Zach last year. Where's that lost locker room? I don't see it. I don't see it right now. You know why there's not a lost locker room? Because Salah is 100% correct in his assessment of what's going on with Zach. He is not playing up to their standards. I know that. Everybody knows that. But because he is in the place he is, meaning great teammate, great person, hard worker, much more confident now this year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the players know that. You know why they know it? Because they're around Zach. Not anybody else out there that's around Zach for 3 hours every Sunday. They are around the kid. And if they thought, you know how many egomaniac, bad quarterbacks there have been in this league that are giving up pretty quick? And you know why they're giving up pretty quick? Because they don't have all of those intangibles that Zach has. That not only are they struggling, but they're bad teammates, ego, this, that, the other thing. That's why they're giving up. Okay, you're gone. Get out of here. But they're not going to be dumb enough to give up on a 24-year-old quarterback. He just turned 24. 24 years old. Do you know how old Aaron Rodgers was when he started his first year in Green Bay? I will tell you, 25. Do you know how many years he sat on the bench waiting to become a starting quarterback in the NFL? 3 years. 3 years on the bench. Year 4, 25 years old, he goes out there and starts. And then the second year, he's a superstar. So that took what? That was 5 years. Okay. Something like that. Giant fans, Jet fans, they share a pretty similar kind of background and relationship. I know there are young Giant or Jet fans that probably don't remember this, but I do. I remember. My father had season tickets to the New York Giants. I remember it real clearly. Back in the day, there was this first round top 10 quarterback they chose that for, I think it was like 4 years, something like that, right? Yeah, I think it was about 4 years. They couldn't stand Phil Simms. Could not stand him. But what did the Giants do? They just kept putting him out there, putting him out there, putting him out there. He was out for 1 year injury, 4 years total, but just about more than 4 years, he finally gets it going. Just like Aaron Rodgers, basically, has one decent year. Phil has one decent year. Then Aaron blows up, and then Phil blows up. For as blowing up Phil can do. But that was the Super Bowl. So that's, and that, back then, there's no social media. So they didn't have to go through what Zach's going through. See, they didn't have my opinion, you guys watching, any of the shows that are on YouTube, countless, what you see, the talk show radio, there was one. I mean, there's just nothing out there compared to, for what Phil Simms had to deal with, compared to what Zach's going through. So it was a lot easier for the Phil Simms of the world and the Terry Bradshaws of the world to just be booed just so, for so long, years, by their hometown team, until they finally broke through. Now, different era, of course, because nowadays, with social media, with the fans breathing down their neck, they're pressured into doing things earlier than they should, and that is part of the problem. Big problem. So, this has got to change. And it's going to change at some point because he's either going to get better or he's going to be gone. If he doesn't perform well, he's going to go. The only reason he's still here and is being given a chance is because he is playing. Well, I shouldn't say playing, but he is doing everything else except playing well on Sundays that show them that he's headed in the right direction. And let's just get through this season. If he just continues, even if it slowly improves, and then Aaron comes back, he's the guy again, and then hopefully, again, we go back to where they were, and hopefully another year, and Zach could be the guy as long as, again, because he's not going to be here. They're not going to just allow him to be the backup quarterback next year for Aaron Rodgers if he does not show improvement on the field. So all the intangibles work for a time, but he has to show improvement. And if he does, great. But they are not going to be dictated by the fans or the media because they're going to do it the right way. Let's talk about the defense. And I talked about the defense as well on last week's show about, whether or not Saleh did the right thing by just being a CEO and not running the defense. We see we see a lot of coaches, pro and college, and I could probably say hundreds over the last several years, become a head coach, you remain the coordinator. But for some reason, defensive coaches don't always maintain defensive jobs. They don't maintain their coordinator position. They're not running the defense. So I don't know whether or not that would make the defense better. I don't know. I really don't. But we're still just not seeing anything from the defense that makes them look creative, that makes them look, wow, look at how they're getting turnovers. Now, is that coaching or is that players? I don't know. But what I do know is, and we talked about this last year, if you're going to create turnovers on defense, a lot of the times, where do turnovers come from? Well, either sacking the quarterback, okay, and you need to do a better job of that, or it's in the middle of the field. A lot of stuff goes on in the middle of the field, whether it's hits or ball hawks, whatever the case may be. We saw Whitehead, ball hawk, middle to the back end of the field. But the middle, I'm talking about, the linebackers or the box safety or the hybrid safety. We don't have one of those guys. And we didn't go out and get one. Okay, now, I don't know if Chuck Clark could have been that guy. I don't know. But the fact is, that was a position that we talked about during the draft process, the one position that I still would like to see them upgrade is get a guy in there that can be that guy in the middle of the defense that can help create turnovers. And right now, we just don't have that guy. And take a look at the defense, okay? A couple things I'm gonna make sure you understand here about what the defense has been disappointing, okay? Well, obviously, once again, no turnovers. Quinnen Williams. I hate to get on Quinnen, but I'm sorry, dude. This is your line so far in 3 games this season. No sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hits. That's your line. Carl Lawson. Does this dude even play? Talk about on the opposite side where they got to get younger, fresher legs on offense. We got to see some of those guys I talked about. Well, how about defensively? Why don't we add some defensive guys that can help? Let's take a look and see who we could bump up. It's obvious, right? It's obvious. You know where I'm going. It's this dude, Will McDonald. Let's take this guy, Carl Lawson, who to this point has 3 tackles, no tackles for loss, no sacks, or quarterback hits. The dude has done nothing. So let's take this guy and say it's not good enough and let this guy play. But they're not going to do that because he's a veteran. They won't do it. That is a problem. Now, let's talk about New England coming into the Jet game. They played 2 games. By the way, they were at home. So they're supposed to have an advantage at home as opposed to a disadvantage on the road, correct? All right, home game against Philly, week 1. The defense for the Eagles, 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 7 quarterback hits, and a pick 6, okay? What did the Dolphins do? Week 2, 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 8 quarterback hits. Wow, we should have some success against this dude. We're coming after Mac Jones. Jets, game 3, on the road, no sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 5 quarterback hits. Oh, by the way, Quinnen Williams and Lawson had a tackle apiece in the game. How about that? How about that? What a demonstration by the defense. That's all you need to know. You could, I don't want to hear excuses regarding that situation because I just showed you the 2 teams that played against the Patriots the 2 weeks prior and how their defense was able to get sacks and tackles for loss and a pick 6. And then we play them, nothing. 0. And you're trying to tell me that, the defense gave up 13 points. That should be enough. That's not their fault. For the most part, I agree. But when you want to start picking apart things, just like the coach said, it's not all about one person. This is what we're talking about, okay? The defense has got to do a better job. It is now comical to me, that DJ Reed had the gall to talk about this being some sort of historic defense when the season began. Yeah, right. Not going to happen. Okay. Let's talk about The Athletic. I can't show you the words, so I'm going to have to read them. From Zach Rosenblatt. This season feels like it could go off the rails quickly, if it hasn't already. It's 1-2, man. Should he remain the starter? The Jets are 1-2. Face the Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champs, on Sunday night. By the way, when we looked at the schedule before the season began, what did we think? We thought it was very possible that we'd start 1-2, and very possible we'd start 2-3. Even with Aaron Rodgers, Jet fans would have understood if they started 2-3 with the schedule. We could still be 2-3, but yeah, it's completely different now. There's a lot of discussion on what the Jets do at quarterback. Carson Wentz, trade for Gardner Minshew, but that would only provide a temporary fix. Well, he's right. They signed Trevor Siemian, not that he's a playoff caliber quarterback, which he's right. So I think just that's, the writers are already asking today about, how quickly could he, dude, just, he's not playing. He's a veteran quarterback. He's basically going to be a Mr. Emergency quarterback. I mean, what are you, serious? Yeah, we're going to, Trevor Siemian's going to come to the rescue, everybody. Now, here's everything to consider, according to Rosenblatt. From Rodgers to Wilson to potential 2024 free agent targets, whether the Jets might consider drafting a quarterback in the first round again. So he goes on and talks about, do we really? We are at game number 4 coming up, and we are already talking about drafting quarterbacks. Wow. In another article this week, the fear of failure. There was a point in the second quarter when the Jets ran the ball on 8 straight plays. Through 3 quarters, Wilson was averaging 2.7 air yards per attempt, meaning he averaged less than 4 yards every time he tried to pass the ball. For reference, the NFL's lowest mark among starting quarterbacks in 2022, Matt Ryan, who averaged 6 air yards per attempt. How funny that he brings up Matt Ryan. So basically, he's trying to tell you that Matt Ryan was the worst last year. This is a guy that Jet fans are clamoring for. Matt Ryan. Why? Because Jet fans would just rather, we've given up on Zach, so what we'd rather do is just have somebody that can get us to 8-8, so we can just entertain ourselves, or 8-9, and we can have we win some games. What is that gonna do? I want Matt Ryan here so we can have a 500 team and screw draft position. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. By the way, I just referenced Matt Ryan's stats from the last time he played football, and the Colts, a 4-win team, got rid of him. The Colts, a 4-win team, got rid of him. And this is the guy that Jet fans feel could help. It was clear Sunday that the two hands at the control of the Jets offense, Hackett and Wilson, were too scared to mess up, too scared to take any risks, too scared to take any shots downfield, too scared to fail. There were a lot of runs into a wall of Patriots defenders and short passes that went nowhere. This is coaching. Now, you could definitely say that, hey, Zach, you shouldn't have been holding on to the ball. There were several times you held on to the ball too long. Just get rid of the ball, okay? Remember what's going on in his head. That's a coach and that's a defense that has fucked me up royally. And I am not going to put my team in a position, even if I'm taking a chance. So that's what Jet fans want. Just take a chance. Just get rid of the ball. Yeah, okay. So what they'd prefer is get rid of the ball. And look, and I'm not trying to stick up for him because he definitely held on to the ball too long. Now, they would say he held on to the ball too long on every time that he held on to the ball too long was his fault, which is nonsense. Half of the time it was his fault, but the other half, again, like I said, don't force it. Why don't force it? Because they were one drive, one 55-yard drive away from winning that game. And that was because he did not force the ball. He did not make any stupid plays. He put his team in a position, ball in his hands, to win a game in a situation that nobody pretty much thought most people didn't think they would win when the game started. And they had a shot. So that's why I'm willing to defend Saleh, Douglas, Hackett, and Wilson for this game. Play on Sunday night against the Chiefs, throw 3 interceptions in the first half, get blown out 28-0, go into the locker room, all that kind of stuff. And hey, if Zach all of a sudden shows that his confidence is now shot, he just can't figure things out anymore, it's just too much for him, then he'll be benched. And you'll get your wish. You're upset. I'm upset. You think I freaking like this? I hate this. I hate having to do this. I despise it. Nothing would make me prouder and nothing would satisfy me more than to see I backed up Zach because I backed up Saleh because I backed up Douglas. And because I did that, I'm being rewarded. And look, I know the fans will change if he starts to play better and he actually start to look like I said, that he's not going to be perfect, but he's showing growth and he's still a young quarterback. So maybe by the time Aaron Rodgers is done here in a couple of years, then he'll even be better because he's showing improvement. But to just, I can't take it anymore, got to get rid of him. It's not how a business is run. Not how a successful business is run. Because under that kind of impatience, Giants would have given up on Phil Simms, Steelers would have given up on Terry Bradshaw, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sorry, but that's just not how it works. And the other thing that just drives me crazy, did Zach Wilson be asked to put in this position? He was slammed last year like no quarterback has been slammed. Fans, media, all that. Everybody giving up on him. But all the fans and all the media just they just got quiet when they were proved wrong and he came back and the Jets kept him. But the reason they were quiet, besides being proved wrong, the Jets went out and got Aaron Rodgers. So that's where all the attention went. And now, because Aaron Rodgers is out for the year, it's back to Zach. It's like everybody's pointing a finger at Zach again. Like it's his fault. He's the reason. when the whole plan was for Zach to sit on the bench and grow and learn from Aaron Rodgers. And the new coordinator and that coordinator, he was going to learn from the coordinator to the quarterback and how that worked. And he was hopefully going to be the next guy that would work with that coordinator. So that was the plan. And instead of acting like you guys are acting, I don't understand why you just don't give it a chance, because it's not like it's the same situation. How many times do we have to go over this? Okay. Just take a look at, like, for Aaron Rodgers, and here's a good example. Not only did he have all those years and was 25 before he was a first-year starter, but he got to learn behind Brett Favre, and he had awesome head coaches. I mean, even his head coach at Cal, Jeff Tedford, has been called a quarterback guru. So he had all of this great coaching. Zach Wilson has never had that. Never. And I've said before, I think Zach should have stayed in school for at least another year. Quarterback should, the Brock Purdy's you want to compare him to, those guys have had 4 years of experience. And not every quarterback grows the same. But they see something different in them. And if they see something different in them, Joe sees something different in them. They bought in about the fact that they currently see something different in them. Okay? I will fully admit, again, you go out there on Sunday night against the Chiefs, you crap all over the place, it's a national embarrassment, getting blown out, and I don't know how much more the media can overreact. I honestly don't. But let's just say that happens, and then maybe they see a different Zach. Oh, he's lost his confidence again. Then there you go. Right? You got your wish. He lost his confidence. He got blown out, blah, blah, blah. And hey, here comes Tim Boyle. Hey, here comes Trevor Siemian. But at least we don't see Zach anymore. And the reason I bring that up is because I don't understand why you don't root for one of your own. I just don't understand it. Again, it's not like that he's been with the same, like he's got this great coaching. He's had the same stability there the whole time, experienced coaches, guys that have grown other quarterbacks before and have a proven record, like Greg Knapp. He's had all of that, and it's not working out. He's not doing anything. Then I can understand. All right, well, that's it. Enough, man. I'd be like that. Enough. I've been like that before. But I don't understand how you don't see this, how you don't see that there are changes. There are a lot of things that he's had to go through, that this was not the plan. He's not supposed to be the starting quarterback right now. But the opportunity's there. So let's go ahead and give back to him, because he's proved to us that he's changed in certain ways that he's needed to change, mostly confidence. And the other things, and of course, confidence is very important, not just because I'm cocky and I'm confident, but confidence because of the fact that I'm confident in what I'm doing now. I'm learning how to be a professional football player. That kind of confidence. That's something that not every player has. He's not a guy that just, you watch football games and you see these rookies or these inexperienced players and you go, oh, deer in the headlight look. Zach doesn't have that. Now, he's had it before, but he doesn't have that anymore. So there are things that he has done that he has proven that he is a different player, but now he has to prove it on the field. He has thrown one interception in his 2.5 games, or 3 games, really. One interception early in the game. That's it. He had the 3 turnovers in the second half when they were trailing big against Dallas. And he had the 1 interception against the Bills, which is really the worst interception he's had. I don't care about the interceptions against Dallas. We're winning that game anyway. It was that bad interception against Buffalo. That was like, oh no, here he goes again. And we haven't seen that again. Not since that have it been early in the game, game's on the line. Oh no, I can't believe he did that again. That has not happened. So yes, you can blame him for holding on to the ball too long. You can blame him for not coming up with enough big plays. But there is some positive that you can take out of it. And that's what they're doing. And that's why the players are backing him. No matter what anybody thinks. And the reason why do you think the players are backing him? Because it's exactly the way Coach Saleh has said. So this is not something, they really are just backing him because they're just doing it. They just have to. That's that kind of thing. If they didn't like him the way most fans were led to believe with the Mike White situation last year, this would not be happening. Because they don't like him. They didn't like him last year. They were all for Mike White. And now that he's playing poorly and here's the reason we're losing, they would not be doing this. Stop reading the BS. I know it's hard sometimes because the coach always has coach speak stuff and you're not going to listen to him, which is why, again, I just wish that he would be a little bit different when it comes to the media, especially, if you got to be a prick, you got to be a prick. And I wish he would. I just hope, obviously, that things change because I'm a fan. I don't want to see this offense look like this. It's just, I don't. The Aaron Rodgers deal, that was supposed to be so great and all that. And it's not here. And there's nothing that we can do about it. Look, everybody needs to have just, you want a whipping boy is really what you want. And you got a 24-year-old kid that is doing everything he's supposed to. Everything he's supposed to. And if he was a rookie quarterback right now, at 24, that's an age. You could be a rookie quarterback. What did I just say about Aaron Rodgers? 25 years old, first-year starter. So if he was a first-year starter at 24 years old and just played his third game, Jet fans would be behind him. He's our quarterback, first year. He's a rookie. But you're taking into account a lot of the stuff that was just not good. He was not prepared properly, and we went over that. That's where you blame. That's why I blame Coach Saleh. But the defense, especially, look, nobody's saying that every single week you got to make turnover changing plays. That's not expected. It ain't going to happen. But why can't you do it against the Patriots? Because chances are you're not going to do it against the Chiefs or the Eagles. As a defense, if you can go out there against the Patriots and you make a game-changing play, whether it's a sack, pick six, whatever the case may be, and you put points on the board like the Steelers did to beat 2 touchdowns to beat the Browns. They don't get the 2 touchdowns from the defense. The Browns beat them. So they did what they had to do to win that game. They scored. Not just turned the ball over, but they scored. Okay? So if you would have done that against the Patriots, maybe the Jets win. But you didn't. Okay, you gave up some stupid touchdown, and you held them to 13 points. Well, you know what? Against this particular team, it just wasn't good enough. Because you're not going to have that chance against the Chiefs, and you're not going to have that chance against the Eagles, and you're not going to have that chance against the Dolphins, and you're not going to sweep the Bills and do that again. So these are the times that, and if you don't make those game-changing plays against those teams, I'm okay with it. Because those are really good football teams and really good offenses. But these are the games that even just really good defenses, not elite, but just really good defenses are supposed to take control. You're going to control the game. And you didn't do it. And the defense is getting the pass. Nobody's talking about the defense. I just brought up all that stuff about the defense. Where's all that? Where's all the... Seriously, Quinnen Williams is going to go up against Chris Jones on Sunday night. And since Chris Jones has been back the last couple of weeks, he's been making plays and helping the Chiefs win football games, especially against the Jags in week 2. But where's Quinnen Williams, who just got paid? Let's go. Where are you? Come on. Time to be a superstar. Because 3 games in, no superstar plays. What are you waiting for? Sauce Gardner. All right, he's held, players in check. He's done a good job. Where are the superstar plays? Where are they? I don't see them. I'm not even going to talk about C.J. Mosley. We all know C.J. Mosley doesn't make those types of plays anymore. I just want to see a win, or at the very least, I want to. I'm just admitting it. I'm like you, man. I want to see good football. I want to be entertained. Said it last week. I'm saying it again. It's what this is about. This is our team. I want to be entertained. I don't want to turn on other football games to get entertained. Can we be entertained? You know what? Why can't our quarterback go out there and make the big drive at the end of the game against the Patriots and win it and beat them? Why can't we have a nice story like that? Why does it just be one game against the Bills? Every team can do it once. But why can't we build something? Why? I feel that way. Man, there's a lot of what you feel, I feel. A lot. But there are also a lot of things that you people have just gotten completely nuts. You're not thinking clearly. And furthermore, as I also said, you don't really believe. You just don't. And that is a big problem. And when it's all said and done, and look, maybe we have to wait until next year. That's probably the case. And we're going to wait for Aaron to get out there and keep our fingers crossed that he doesn't get hurt again. And when that happens, and Aaron Rodgers plays well, and the Jets win, all those guys, all those front-running Jet fans are going to come back. Oh, now we're going to win? Okay, great. Now I come back up my team. Remember, nobody ever said you had to kiss ass to your team. Never said that. You don't blindly root for your team. Because if the team is run wrong, they've got a bad owner or a bad general manager, because that's really the key. Head coach, always get fired. Always move on to someone else. But I've always defended Woody Johnson because he hasn't been, well, I'm going to hold on to my money and I'm not going to pay anybody. That hasn't been a problem. He hasn't interfered. Maybe it took him a little while to make a couple of right decisions, and his brother obviously helped a lot, Chris, but things are, as far as that concerned, ownership, fine. Hired the right guy, Joe Douglas. Now we're in business. So it is just a matter of time, and we have to be patient. And the fans out there that don't want to be patient, that want to just rip the team apart and want to boo as soon as there's an incompletion or a bad play, wow, that really helps the offense, huh? You're there to, you want your team to win, and you just can't wait to boo. Wow. But hey, you know what? You paid your ticket. Do what you want. You think that's the best way to help your team win? You boo them because they have a couple of bad plays early in the game when they're trying to get something positive going. Great. Okay. Excellent. I like it. To me, those are just people that just don't believe. They don't. And again, that's the difference that we are going to have. That's the major difference we will have. I believe Joe Douglas. He's going to be standing there at some point holding that Super Bowl trophy. I don't know if it's in a couple of years or 5 years or whatever it is, but he's going to do it. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. He's going to do it. Okay? And when it happens, I am going to be one of the few people that will be able to say, I steadfastly believed in him throughout the whole process. I was critical when I needed to be critical, but I kept my frustration in at times when I understood what was going on. And I didn't just bash the team and just try to pile on. Because the pile on stuff too is just so weak. Anybody can pile on. That's why this whole Zach Wilson, everybody, everywhere you look on YouTube with Zach Wilson and give up on this, can't stand to see him anymore, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I could do that too. I could just, oh yeah, I'm like you. I want people to agree with me. I want them to like me. I want them to think that I'm smart because I'm saying what they're saying. So go ahead, do that. But I'm sorry. All I've done is follow this team for 40 plus years. And I kind of feel that I know a thing or two about and understand that even though I don't want to be patient, that I want to be like you, that I want to let it out, that it is what it is. We got screwed. Sorry. Aaron Rodgers out for the year. Our whole season's done, pretty much. And the only chance that we have to have this season be special in any way, shape, or form is for that kid to start playing better. That is our only shot. And a lot of you people just either don't want to understand it, or you just don't care, and because you just despise him so much and despise what he means to you somehow, and maybe it's the fact that you bought the BS about him being some greedy little rich kid from last year, that stupid nonsense that was thrown out there, and because you believe the whole Mike White crap with the T-shirts, fine. I'm not going to convince you any different. But like I said, I'm like you. I want to watch the game on Sunday night, and I want to see something positive. You know, I want to see three quality drives, because that's what it's going to take to beat the Chiefs, because our defense just ain't special enough. Okay? You're going to beat the Chiefs, you got to score in the 20s, more than likely. Be shocked if you can hold the Chiefs under 20. So you got to score in the 20s. So that's going to take 3 quality drives. And maybe the defense can come up with a play or two. And now you got 5 scoring drives. And that's how you beat a good football team. That's what I want. Now, whether that happens or not, I don't know. But if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to just go crying. And I'm not going to run up to the podium after the game like the other beat writers to go, well, what did Zach do wrong now? It's Zach's fault. Did Zach do this? Why are you doing this with Zach? Have you lost the locker room yet? They're not fans, man. They're not. So I don't know why. I don't know what his. Just don't understand Salah's philosophy. I know he's got one. The way he's dealing with the press. I know he feels like he's doing the right thing. But man, you've got to let it out. You really have. Because if something happens on Sunday night and they lose the game against the Chiefs, which is probably going to happen, and Zach doesn't play as bad as they're going to say that he plays, and you just go through the same rigmarole and don't start, toughening up instead of just going, fair question. That'll drive me crazy. But we all just want to win, and I hope so. I don't want to go through this again. I just don't. So I'm keeping the faith, keeping my fingers and toes crossed that this kid can start growing, or can keep growing. And these little tiny baby steps, and they got to start picking up. They just have to. So hopefully we'll get lucky on Sunday night, and he'll make a step, like a real step. And then because we all know he ain't going to come out and light up the scoreboard. So the only way to beat the Chiefs is he has to play obviously better, and the defense has got to make plays. They've got to turn the ball over, and they have to make plays. Anyway, we're out of here. And go Jets.